the golden age of aviation, a time when flying was adventurous, luxurious, exclusive, and where the stewardess knew, somehow knew, your exact preferred style of martini.
Shaken, not stirred.
I'm not kidding when I say this. This is really what flying was like back then. What if I told you, though, that we could be in the brink of a new golden age of aviation, and one that's arguably, better than the original? That's exactly right. Of course, first, we need to figure out why people are making such a big deal out of this golden age of aviation, and what truly made it so special. So, depending on who you ask, the time period varies. For today, though, we're really talking about from the 50s to the 70s, which is also around the same time when the classic Bond films came out. Think about it like this. When you flew, you flew. It was truly an event, and it was a status symbol in of itself. You had lobster, caviar, steak on the menu with fine wines from all over the world. Oh no, I'm good with apple juice. Thank you. I'm treating it like I was actually alive back then. That's how good it was. And men dressed up with their suits almost as good as mine. I told you. Wait, what's so funny? Please don't make fun of me. And women with their dresses. It was nothing short of legendary. The service was phenomenal. It was like a classic cocktail party or lounge with the added benefit of being up at 30,000 feet. James Bond would trade in his Aston Martin, for a first-class seat on Pan Am. That's right. How was all of this even possible, and why don't we see it today? You see, back then, as now, aviation is highly regulated, but the business side of it was also heavily regulated back then, where airlines couldn't compete on things like price or where they flew. They had to get permission for all of this stuff. So instead, airlines like TWA and Pan Am, airlines around the world, competed on service, on one-upping each other. They can do it better than the other airline, and that was the top priority. Fast forward to the late part of the 20th century, and this all came to an end pretty much since airlines could then compete on price and other things, which is really a phenomenon seen around the world. But that meant that the golden age was truly over, and value and innovation was placed on price. Or another way of putting it, could you picture Bond waiting in line for a middle seat in economy? The glamour, it was over, even for him. Sure, some remnants of the golden age still exist, thankfully, like the style from the pilots and the flight attendants to, there are some first-class suites, pretty expensive out there with showers. And some of the classic airlines still exist, like American, Delta, United, Lufthansa, Turkish, Qantas, to just name a few. However, what's important is where we are and where we seem to potentially be going. So the low-cost carriers, they've dominated for so long, and it seems like their days of glory are becoming questionable. The airlines that we've seen in the golden age, like with the examples I mentioned, seem to be coming out on top once again. It's just like an identity crisis we're going through with the James Bond series. Who is going to replace Daniel Craig? I've got no idea. I'm actually having some trouble sleeping at night because of it. So if you know, please tell us, please. What are the key defining themes of this next age? They're worth discussing. One is personalization and your travel experience, the technology and innovation for number two, connectivity, sustainability, and overcoming challenges.
400 flight cancellation.
Airlines considering a bankruptcy filing.
Tailored experiences are taking the center stage, or where airlines are either once again prioritizing or reintroducing premium products on board. Do you know Q from James Bond? Yeah, the guy who helps Bond out with all of his tech stuff.
Right, well, I've just got one last thing for you and you can be on your way.
Think about it like having your own Q lab on board. You have buttons that somehow make your seat from a seat into a bed. You've got another button that calls a flight attendant that can give you a meal to die for, TV screens where you can do a bunch of other things besides watching movies or how much time you have left on the flight, and streaming Wi-Fi. It really seems like you can't zone out anywhere anymore. But, no ejector seats yet. Q, you won't believe this. Oh, and here's the good news. You don't have to be 007 anymore. You don't have to be an international spy to get access to these seats, thanks to things like dynamic pricing, loyalty programs, and just overall seats, more seats being available. Although, not to disappoint you, Bond will still be getting his drink service first. Imagine being able to go from Manhattan to a specific street in London or somewhere else in Europe within just 5 or 6 hours, thanks to all the resources, investments being tied into things like eVTOLs or the urban air mobility or those air taxi things that they're like helicopters, right? Getting you from a place like Manhattan to the airport, and also thanks to companies like Boom, who are investing in supersonic travel to make travel faster. This can all become a reality. Now, of course, we have a long way to go when it comes to all of these things. Many more investments need to be made, but it's surely something to make Bond proud. Back then, if you missed your flight, you were pretty much screwed in a lot of cases. Now, you still might be screwed, but there's way more backup options. Once this is all connected with the existing infrastructure, with transportation, and the networks that airlines have built over decades and decades around the world, flying is going to be more fun than ever, and faster than ever, and cooler than ever. Sustainability will be a core focus as it is now, but even bigger as we go forward into the future.
First for aviation, Virgin Atlantic says the first transatlantic flight using low-carbon fuel arrived in New York this afternoon.
Making the shorter flights more efficient and sustainable using technology with all the electric things and batteries, while sustainable aviation fuel will drive the innovation going forward with long-haul flights. And just like with the last chapter, there is a long way to go here, but hopefully one day there just won't be a carbon trail that M16 has to pay attention to. The schedule should be reliable, the catering is questionable in the in-flight service, and the lounges, well, it's to get away from the rest of the airport, right, seem to pretty much be more crowded than the airport itself. So these will have to be addressed if we truly want to call it a golden age, but just like any Bond mission or just his general ability to adapt, I'm sure that the aviation industry, we will get it done. So there is no time to waste, just like with Mr. Bond. So until next time, as always, fly further. Showers, bars, custom martinis, all Bond approved, of course.